guys, welcome back to Mic'd Up. I'm your host, Mike DiCioccio, and today, as you can see, we have in studio with us, well, in Jersey, just down the road from me now, Dave Ragosa's back. Ragu, welcome back to the show, brother.
What's up, Mikey? How are you?
Hey, good to have you
Happy
back.
New
Happy
Year.
New Year. Happy
You
New
too.
Year. And I know we wish each other a Merry Christmas last week, but
Yep.
I just want to kind of catch up with you because our audience is wondering, where the heck did Dave go? He hasn't been there for a couple weeks. I let everybody know you were traveling, and for your job, I know you travel quite a bit in your role that you're in. And so, Icon Restaurant Group has you going all over the place. But I'd love to hear, you had this really cool opportunity where you were at an expo. And I think a lot of people interested in the show would love to hear like your feedback and what you learned from that opportunity, and then just kind of catch us up on what you've been up to.
Yeah. I mean, first, again, to everyone, Happy New Year. Hope everyone had a great 2024 and will have a great 2025 to kick off to everyone. But super busy, like you said, the past few weeks. I think, November, December gets busy in the franchising world. There's a lot of deals, a lot of franchise conferences.
Do a lot of people try to start their new business on like 1/1? Is that what's going on? Like any new franchisees getting in, or does that not really matter as far as like the calendar year?
I don't know, not really matters a calendar year. I think it's a lot of folks who started thinking about it like January, but then actually pull the trigger in September, October. And now it's like, oh crap, I have to get it opened or I have to get moving by the end of the year. So it's more so the lag from the beginning part of the year.
Gotcha.
I would say more than anything for sure.
And is that industry also, I know a lot of people, restaurant industry doesn't necessarily slow down during the holidays because a lot of people are going out. They got family in from out of town. They're like, taking them out on the town. And maybe like Christmas Day is closed. And I think New Year's Day, sometimes restaurants will close. What does that look like? Is that a crazy time? Is that like big bank for you guys?
Yeah. So I was gonna say on the restaurant side, certainly busy. So the restaurants are busy, really from Thanksgiving straight through the new year. On the corporate side, obviously slows down a bit. So I always say December 15th, like everyone kind of just shuts down. So deals aren't moving forward. Folks are just kind of closing it out for the new year, but they're on the restaurant side is super busy.
Yeah, that's what I experienced too. I worked retail. I've owned my own company now since 2017, and getting people to do a Zoom call or meet you for coffee between, really December 10th and on is excuse city. But it does happen because a lot of times you're working with other people who are like, forward thinking like you are, like, hey, we could still meet. I don't have anything going on the 27th, so I'm not just gonna call it quits and just coast into the new year. But in general, if it's the first time you're meeting someone or more of like client and business decision makers, it's absolutely a difficult time. Did you something that you and I both try to remind ourselves to do is take some time to be present with our family. You have a beautiful family. Did you get to do that during the holiday season?
I did. So I'll say one of the things I rarely take off, like physically take off, Mike, as you know me, I may get a day here or there, but it's not built in me. But the holidays are something that's always been important to me. So what I try to do, and I've been good the past few years, is pretty much a day before Christmas Eve. So that 22nd, 23rd, I'll shut it down through the new year, and I'll really be intentional unless there's something super, super major, that a deal that has to close by the end of the year. Other than that, I really do shut it down. I tell my team, hey, you guys know I'm with you 24/7, but that time is my time with my family.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good. I actually did the same thing this year. And a lot of times I still hop on, check emails, family's kind of winding down for the night, going to bed. I'll hop on, just make sure my team is good, make sure there's no fires. This year we have a new client that's just rolling out into the new year. And so we're managing their calendar for their podcast, like for people booking. And they had somebody book with them like Christmas week, and I didn't see it. And it was like, that was kind of a crazy situation where I had one of the guys on my team lighten up my phone. I forget what day it was. Might have been day after Christmas, like the 26th. And I was running to the store with my daughter. My phone's lighting up like, hey, we got somebody who's on the hook here and they're ready to go. So it's kind of interesting. Like we do have, you're going to have different moments that are still busy during that time. You got to be on your game. So we made sure we took care of that and got it scheduled and everything. But you got to be on your game, but it is important to schedule time. And that's actually, my buddy was just asking me last night, like, oh, what are some of your New Year's resolutions? And one of mine is presence, right? Presence with my family, but also like presence with myself, because it's important for us to make sure we're doing things, taking care of ourselves. Because if you're not taking care of your mental health, your physical health, how are you going to take care of your family, your team, and lead the right way? So I've definitely, going into the new year, have been more present. I have a coach that's helping me with fitness and what I'm putting into my body, food, meal plans, meeting with her weekly, and really,
Awesome.
she's like keeping track of me. That's what's cool about, like, I got the Apple Watch, so anything I'm doing she can see, like, on her end. It's really cool. Going to the gym, but yeah, like, that's my big thing right now, is just making sure I reset myself, and I
Yep,
don't feel like I've done that in a long time. And it's always like pouring from that cup that needs some energy poured into it, right?
for
So
sure.
that's where
So
I'm at. But yeah.
it's funny. One of the things I want to kind of bring up too, because we're talking about New Year's, and I'm not a big, or I've gone away from like New Year's resolutions, and I feel like if you're hustling and you're working, like you don't need a resolution, right? There should be no motivation. Like January 1st should not be a motivator. Like you should be motivated
Right.
because
That's
you're
not the
going after.
reason, but
Exactly. So one of the things
yeah.
I've done, I started back in 19 or 20, I think it was picking a word of the year. Kind of what was your mantra for the year? So for 2025, what's your word of the year? And I started doing this on the company side, but in 2021, I think I flipped it over to my family side too. And I made my kids, my wife, everyone say, all right, guys, let's pick a word of the year. Like what's going to be your beacon for this year? And you could have two words. This year I have two words, but I make my kids kind of pick their word and sit down and explain to me, hey, why is that your word of the year? What's the focus of it? No different than I'm sitting in a company meeting telling my team, hey, what's your word of the year? What's going to drive you this year? Give me one word. I print it up, on the other side of my office over here. It's printed right in front of my computer. I see it every day. My kids, I make them post it right in their bedrooms, and it just kind of reinforces it. And every quarter we kind of look at it and say, are we tracking to that word? Is our beacon, if you will? For me,
Hmm.
this year I picked two words, Mike. I picked speed and I picked decisiveness, because those are two things I wanted to improve on. I feel like I'm in a good place in life, but I want to move faster. So with more intention and more purpose, and just moving at a faster speed than I'm accustomed to, and making decisions in all things. And on the other side, I wanted to be a little more decisive. And when I look at, and as you know, Mike, same thing with you, you have 10 million things going on. How do we get rid of some of those things that are really not serving us, and really being decisive, focus on two or three things, whether it's per quarter or per year, and just go after those and kind of shut everything else out until you've kind of achieved that goal?
It's funny because you didn't ask me to give you two words. You didn't know what my two words were. But the two that come to
I
me, I
didn't.
already mentioned presence, right? Being more
Yep.
present with
I
myself,
heard
with my
that.
family, with my team and clients. But also intentionality was the second word. And like, same thing. Shout out to James Bracken. I don't know if you got a chance to see the interview I did with him a couple weeks ago, but he was incredible. Young guy, and like has his head on straight. He's a student of the game. He's coaching people, twice his age, but he's doing a great job because he has the right mindset and mentality. And what he said is like, it's the less is more thing. Take things away. And the
Yep.
analogy that we talked about was kind of being on a boat. And I said, like, you got a bunch of weights pulling you down, and you're just cutting those weights. So now you can actually sail, and you can kind of go back to what you wanted to do. You set sail, but all these weights are going to keep pulling you back to shore, pulling you into the deep end. So my thing is this intentionality, like you said,
For sure.
where a lot of times I am busy, but I can ask myself, busy doing what? Busy. How am I moving the business forward? Being busy. How am I being a better dad? Being busy. Um, how am I improving my health and wealth? Just being busy.
Yep.
So there's a lot of stuff I notice in my calendar that I'm doing that I can either delegate and continue to do that. So yeah, those are my two words, and pretty similar to
Awesome.
yourself. What about some big wins? What do you have that you'd like to celebrate? And anything exciting from Christmas you want to share? What was a couple big wins for you in 24?
I would say uh, getting clear on my goals and my vision for 2025. So I think just kind of cleaning things up, and knowing that, hey, I needed to kind of refocus a little more on what my goals were for 25. And that may sound small, but to your point, it's just those things, those distractions that you just don't need. So really cleaning those up made a huge difference. Certainly, moving forward. And I'll say on the other side, on the personal side, is just continuing to grow to be a good husband, father. If there again, to use the word intentionality, the same thing. It's really difficult, when you have this in your hand, you have this lovely phone in your hand. So just little things like I really, a win, and it may sound small to folks, but it's big for me, is just no phones at the dinner table, myself, my wife, my kids included. So you're intentional in that purpose, right? I don't care if it's a half hour or if it's an hour or if it's 15 minutes at dinner. It's just spending time with your kids. How was your day? What was good? What was bad? And just talking was huge. And then the holidays, I just love the holiday. Like Christmas is huge for me, Mike. So I love the holidays. I love being
Yeah.
around it. Everyone's just
What's
in
the
a better
big meal
mood.
on the dinner table for you on Christmas Day?
So it's big. It's the fishes. So we have
You do
seven.
the 5 fishes or
Correct.
7 fishes?
7 fishes.
Yeah.
Yep. 7 fishes. So huge. I'm not a fish guy. So that's the other downside to it. But
Which one's your favorite? What do you tolerate the most?
I am not a shellfish person. I like fish. I like tuna, salmon, fish that swim. Nothing that kind of crawls at the bottom of the sea. So those are my
crack open with a nutcracker.
Correct. Yep, for sure.
Lobster, yeah.
And it's just really being around family, right? So similar to you, I'm sure too, is just, and I was going to ask you too, is, this is the first Christmas with you, right? With you being right next to your daughter or close by. How was that?
Yeah. So I just got to give a shout out to my mom real quick for my favorite meal, Christmas Day every year, Monagat. Give me a plate of that. We don't do the 7 fishes thing in my family. I know that's an Italian tradition, but for some reason we usually do fish on Christmas Eve. But I wasn't in town.
That's what it is. We do Christmas Eve, not Christmas Day.
Okay, Christmas Eve is fish. We do that. We don't do 7 of them. We pick a couple, and then we do Italian dinner on Christmas Day, and it's usually Monagat, and it just melts in your mouth. And we always I devour 5 to 10 of them. I used to eat more when I was like 20 years old. I used to just have my entire plate just for me, and my brother would do the same. I'm kind of slowing down a little bit. I gotta keep an eye on it. But so great meal there. What I ended up doing, you're right, I was closer to my daughter. And now I'm only 15 minutes away, not 6 hours anymore.
Yeah.
The whole idea of moving to Philly. But being here, I spent the morning on Christmas Eve and the morning on Christmas Day with her. And I had her on the 23rd as well. After I think she had school that day. It was maybe the last day. No, I think she was off and she was with me the whole day. So I kind of took like a personal day on the 23rd. And then I had her some extended time, 26th through the 29th. And that's when we went back to Buffalo. So my mom really celebrated like Christmas with my sister and her, my niece, my sister's daughter. And my mom got to enjoy that time with them, like one-on-one, and my brother-in-law, and they went over to his side of the family. But for me, I got one-on-one time with Isabel on Christmas Eve. So she was like playing with her gifts. And then Christmas Day was cool. I got her a new steering wheel for Forza. She loves driving around in Xbox. She's actually really good at it. It's pretty cool. She's only 9 and, she's ready to get her driver's license already, but
for sure.
And so, and then just hung out in Buffalo and definitely was intentional to kind of tune out. And my team we all handled what we needed to handle, but everybody got their time off. So like we kind of doubled up on some of the projects the week before. So then Christmas week, I don't want to say we coasted, but like everything was done on time and with intention. So then it was kind of crazy. Drove back on the 29th late at night and then woke up and just have been hammering it every day. And I did take a little bit of time off on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, like morning, but still like I'm out of vacation mode now. Like I'm totally back, Yeah.
What about Wally?
Feels great to be doing this with you. Like I was thinking about it as I'm kind of getting the studio set up again. Because this is kind of like in an auxiliary room. It's like, I got Isabel's stuff in here. I got half of it's her stuff, half of it's my studio, and I'm still kind of building it as it goes. But as I was getting ready to like sit down and do this with you today, it was just another reminder how much I love this. And like, I'm going to continue to do this. Like, I want to celebrate 5 years of Mic'd Up. Been doing this since November of 2019. So it's over 5 years. And I continue to love it the same way I did that first time I recorded episode 1. I still get the butterflies, not like a scared, nervous butterfly, but the same thing like when I performed drums. I wasn't nervous. I was excited in a good way. if I know someone's going to tune in, listen to us, and get some value from it. Obviously, today we didn't have anything, you know, planned, prepared as far as content, but it's more just catching up, getting to see you again. But when we're intentional when we interview our guests, you and I come to that so prepared. Like we want to make sure anyone who's tuning in is going to walk away with some. You call them the golden nuggets, right?
Yeah.
So that is why I love this. I get excited. I want to make sure the excitement's really like I want to do a great job. I don't want to just, hey, we jumped on Riverside and we're recording. What did we do? It was okay, great. We threw some more content up on YouTube. Like, no, it's really to be excited about the mission for Mic'd Up. And I still have that same energy after 5 years. And I also want to do a little shout out, share some of my wins if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it, man.
Huge transformational year for me. 2024 was huge because for many years, last handful of years when my dad passed away, really, it was a really hard time, and I'm still working through. After that was 2020 that he passed away in December. So this was 4 years now, and after he passed, it's kind of like I had my own stuff going on with the business and with my daughter, and really working through the challenge of my grandma and then my dad both passed away in 6 months. But the transformation for me was to finally get out to once my ex-wife moved to Philly and she got remarried and moved Isabel out here. I was traveling, as you know, and I'm just telling this kind of to the audience, but I was going back and forth every month, or sometimes it's twice a month to visit her. And eventually I was trying to figure out how I was going to make the move happen. Well, a lot of people just say, well, dude, just move, get a new apartment, buy a new house. It wasn't that easy for me. I had a lot of like loose ends in Buffalo I had to kind of like get taken care of. I had my own personal struggles I was going through. Unless you're in a situation where you can easily make that happen, it wasn't for me something where I just pick up and move the next day. So I was like really working on it. It was a goal of mine. And a buddy, shout out to John Beebe. He's been on the show a couple times, friend of mine for 25 plus years. He said, just like you were talking about with your goals, like, and they're ever changing, right? You don't just set one goal
For
and
sure.
then at the end of the year, you look at it. But my one goal was to get to Philly. And he's like, that's just too broad. Like when, how? So he challenged me. He's like, pick a time and set it in your calendar. Literally circle it in your calendar. If it's digital, make it a different color so it jumps out at you. And you're getting there. You'll figure it out. Because he's like, Mike, you're resourceful. Whenever you need, if you lost a client, you find a client. If you had the medical problem, you get help. If you have this, you figure it out with your daughter. Your daughter has an issue in school. You guys work through it. Like, we're problem solvers. And so he's like, you'll figure it out. And so I put in my calendar November 1st was when I was going to live in Philadelphia. Well, I ended up getting here on October 2nd or 3rd. I forget exactly.
I'll say you
the
were
day.
earlier, yeah.
Whatever. I was early, but you know what? If he didn't kind of kick my butt into gear with that, I may have said 2025 is a year, and like, why do October, November? Why move in the middle of like cold season? Move in the spring. And I would have probably took my foot off the gas and said, yeah, maybe in March. And, I'd have been driving back and forth every month still. And when you figure out the cost of gas, the cost of getting a nice hotel, the cost of everything that goes into it, the groceries you got to get the time you're here, because you're going to be going out to eat more when you're visiting rather than just eat out of your refrigerator type situation. It was really adding up to the point where it almost, financially didn't even make sense to do it that way.
Sure.
It just made sense to move out here. And I wanted to move out here anyway, because then I get that extra time. So 2024 was like a huge year for me to make that transformation happen, get out here, but then also being back on my own and the whole situation of, new responsibilities is something that's been a great new challenge for me. And also it's allowed me to like focus on my personal growth. Got back into the gym, transferred my membership over from my gym. There's a gym out here, so I was able to do that. And then if you hear in the background, my cat's running back and forth, wondering what I'm doing. Yeah. So speaking of her, Shirley, she's also a big win for 2024. Christmas gift, really to myself, but from Isabel to me and to us as a family. We got little Shirley. She's a tabby color silver tiger, and we got her as a kitten. Really cool story. I'll tell you this. Christmas miracles are real. Okay. So Isabel and I she just brought this up to me one time. We're FaceTiming after dinner one night, and she's like, "I want a cat. I want a kitten." And I'm like, "Okay."
That's a great
We're at
story.
Target. Yeah, listen. When we're at Target, she was showing me all the gifts she wants, and one of them was like this little stuffed animal kitten that makes noise and stuff. And I'm like, "Oh, you want that one that we saw from Target?" She's like, "No, I actually want a real kitten." So, did I tell you this story? Is that why you said that,
Yeah,
or are you
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
busting my
That's why I say it's
balls?
a great story.
Oh,
No, it's a great
you've
story. You
heard
told
it.
me it.
I didn't know. I didn't know that. I told
We
you last
spoke
time we talked.
between
Yeah,
Christmas and New Year's. That's why.
I thought you were busting my marbles.
No.
So I go to like the local SBC on my phone, and I'm just like, because she loves to do the share screen when you're FaceTiming. She's like, "Oh, let's look at him right now." Like kids, she can't wait until
Yep.
we go in person. Let's go look at him. We're looking at least a dozen different cats. There's a lot of cute ones, and the names are all wacky and everything. And so she's like, "Oh no!" And then we see Shirley, and she was like the runt of her litter, tiny little thing, and just super cute. And so she was hooked, and she's like, "Shirley, every day for like the next 2-3 days, we talk on the phone. She'd make me go back and show her Shirley on the phone." So I said, "When I pick you up from school on Tuesday, you want me to, I'll take you to the SPCA." And she kind of like didn't want to do that. She's like, "You just go get Shirley." I'm like, "No, I want to make sure when we go there that you like
Right.
see her and really want her and stuff." So I take her, and we walk in and kick open the front doors. And I'm like, "Where's Shirley at?" Right. And all the people volunteering, they're like, "Who the heck's this crazy guy?" And they're looking at the front desk like, "Is he actually like, does he think someone here works here named Shirley? Who's he talking about? It's a front receptionist named Shirley. She's not Shirley." And everyone's looking around. I go, "No, I'm looking for a kitten." So they literally divided in like two. It's kittens are through the right door, dogs are through the left door. So we go through into the kitten area, and there's like 2 or 3 volunteers back there. And we're like, "Hey, we're looking for Shirley." And the worst feeling in the world is when you say that, and now you can see there's about 25 different cat cages and 3 people working there. So you know that they all know everybody, the inventory of their cats, right? And they're looking at each other like, "Who? Are you at the right location? Maybe you have the wrong location." I'm like, "It's on my phone. We're here, Brandywine, SPCA. She's supposed to be here." I go, is it a chance that she got, somebody bought her already? Like somebody don't adopted her already?" And I'm like, "It's possible." And they're like, "No, our website's like super accurate." I'm like, "Okay, well then you tell me where's Shirley?" So they
Right.
look in their books, and they're like, we got this huge litter of kittens in, and like some foster parents just came and took like the whole litter at a time. We don't have any good records of it though, but we know Shirley. We're looking in here. It looks like there's a cat that may be mixed in that could have been Shirley. I'm like, "So are you basically telling me you lost Shirley? Like there's no way for us to get her back?" And they're like, "Well, she may come back. You can check back in with us." And Isabel's heart's broken. So now we're looking at these other cats. There was Spark, and there's other one, Tiger. And we're going through. None of them were we were really set on Shirley. They weren't as cute, unfortunately. Like, especially when your kid has that in her heart that
Sure.
she really wants that one. So I'm about to turn around and have that talk with Isabel. "Hey, we can come back, and we don't have to absolutely do this today." And as we're walking out the door, we're just like 2 steps outside the door. This These 2 girls, probably like 18, 20 years old, younger, and they walk in with Shirley in their hands, and they're like, "Who did you just say?" And I was like, "Is that Shirley?" And it was Shirley, and she was holding her in her hands like a Christmas miracle.
Yeah, it's
Isabel lit
awesome.
up. She held her. And then it was kind of this weird thing where they were like, they weren't sure if they wanted to adopt her because they just fostered her for a week. And so they had like kind of the upper hand. Like if someone fosters a kitten, they can then adopt. And the 2 girls were heartbroken, but I think it helped. If it was just me, they probably would have been like,
Yeah.
no, but they saw Isabel and they were like, "Okay, 9-year-old girl wants a kitten. You can have her." So it worked out really great. And then, we made it happen. It was a
That's
Christmas
awesome.
miracle story for Shirley. And she is definitely, if you see some bags under my eyes, she decides at 2
Just
o'clock in
keeping
the
you up.
morning is her playtime. That's her playtime. No ifs, ands, or buts. I play with her before I go to bed. She's wound up, and then she chills for about an hour, and then she like springs out of action again and walking on top of my face. And if you see my hands, it looks like I was like, in a sword fighting accident. But yeah, she's adorable. She pulls that on you. Do you have a cat? Have
I
you
don't
ever
have. I
had
have a dog.
cats? Okay. So I love dogs too, but I was always more of a cat person for whatever reason. I don't know. But in
You have cats growing
our
up?
cat, Not growing up, but I had a cat with my ex-wife, and we had her for like 10 years. And I was
Oh,
really, she was like bonded with me like a dog. Like when I used to, before I had my own company, I would come home from work and change out of my work clothes and put on like just jeans and a shirt like I'm wearing right now. Second, I sat down, wherever she was in the house, she would come down over to me and sit on my lap. And she was like a lap dog. Like a lot of people like kind of a therapeutic dog that just chills all the time. And my old cat, Rosie, was just like that. But we got her when she was 2, so she was already a little bit more chill. But obviously, having a kitten, this is a new experience for me. I've
yeah.
never had a kitten before. She's go, 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 go. Obviously, cats sleep like 20 hours out of the day. So she is very much when I'm working, she'll be like right next to me and she's upside down sleeping. And she's always funny, her legs hanging over the couch and stuff. Um, but when it's playtime, she's full go. And so she's a lot of fun, but there's no correcting a kitten. I found out like the whole curiosity killed the cat situation. Earlier today, she was getting into like my cleaning supplies, and I have like next to the refrigerator, I have like the broom, and like the little
Yep.
dustpan, and I have it tucked away so she doesn't get to it. Of course, the more further I tuck it away, the further it's a challenge for her to get it. And she still gets it, and she's knocking it over and everything. And so that kind of thing, like if you literally go up to her and say, nope, and you put it back, like a dog, I feel like would get the understanding of,
Yeah.
oh, don't do that. The second you move it and you're now a half a foot away from her, so she can't really, you're not in arm's reach anymore. She just goes back and immediately does it again. It's like, it's like demonic.
Yeah.
But I absolutely love her.
It's like a
She's
baby.
great. And so, yeah, so that was a huge win, like having her moving out here. Business was great. Hit our biggest year ever. So that was
That's
really
awesome.
great to see, which is what essentially allowed me to move out here. And what's really exciting about Social Chameleon is like we're doing well, but we're still scratching the surface. And every year I know I say that, but like we get a little bit further. It's like, it's like in the ocean, you go out a couple feet and you're like, oh yeah, I can swim a little bit better than this. I'm only knee deep. And when you're a kid, you're like, oh, I can do this. And then by the time you're like 10, you're swimming out and you're more adventurous. And then as you get better and better, you can handle a couple tides and be careful. But so I feel like we got like the whole ocean ahead of us still. We're just kind of on that sandbar chilling right now with the brewski. But yeah, super excited. The team, we got some great team members, and I wouldn't be able to do it without them. So shout out to my team. Um,
That's
and
awesome.
probably the biggest win, Dave. And I know we're going a little bit long, and you got to run. But biggest win out of everything is just the one-on-one time I've had with Isabel since moving here. Um, I definitely see an improvement with her as far as some of her like anxiety and
I'm
stuff with
sure.
the divorce and stuff. So just our bond together. She just said it to me the other day. She said, with you, Dad, I feel like we're like puzzle pieces, how we interlock just our in our hearts.
That's
She literally
awesome.
said that, and she texted it to me. She got an iPad from her mom for Christmas, so now she could text me, which is great to see that. And she sent me a little picture like with a little puzzle. I'm gonna screenshot
That's
it so I never
special.
lose it.
Yeah,
Yeah, really
for
cool.
sure.
Really, really cool.
I will say one other thing too, Mike, is one of my other practices is really just I do a yearly manifesto, and I really write down like my vision board. But to your point, you said earlier, not only do I write down my goals, but how and when am I going to achieve those goals? So I don't just put the goal up there, I put the how and why. And the reason why I'm speaking about that too is to me, that's a huge nugget that I've learned that really has helped me. There's a big difference between just saying, hey, here's your goal, and then writing down exactly when you're going to achieve your goal and what steps you need to do to achieve that goal. But one of them actually was getting on and doing this podcast with you too. So that was one thing. It's not because we're on this podcast. One thing I do want to say is, my 2024, vision board that I had up there was, start my own podcast and or, jump on with Mike and figure out how me and you would actually work together. So it's just awesome. And I say that because I enjoy it just like you do. I enjoy these podcasts. I'd love to do them on a daily basis if we're able to, and someday, God willing, maybe we would be. But it's just awesome that it was written down and then less than a year later we're doing it. You know what I mean? So
We
it's an
connected and
awesome
made it happen.
feeling.
That's a huge win for us. Yeah, getting you on the show. And in 2025, a related goal to that would be just the consistency factor of having you on more frequently. Because I love having you on. You do bring a great energy to the show, a great knowledge with our guests for sure. So
That's
anyone
on my
who's
2025
hanging out,
too.
yeah, 2025. Anyone who's here hanging out at the end of this episode, we appreciate you being here. Remember, you can like the show or like the episode, rather, subscribe to the show on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Love you to leave us a comment, or if you're on Apple, you can leave us a review there. You can also leave us a review on Spotify if that's in your heart, if you enjoyed the show. Obviously, today's a little different. What you experienced today is not the typical mic'd up episode. Normally, we're interviewing a guest, or if it's Dave and I getting together, we come with different things that we have outlined that we really feel can, further you along as an entrepreneur or just a person in general looking to level up in life. That's what we bring with intentionality. But today was more just a catch up, wishing everybody a happy new year.
Yep.
And just kind of literally catching up live with Dave here, because I haven't talked to him since like right before the holidays. So anything you want to say before you jump?
No, I really, it's the other thing I was going to say when you were talking about it too is for 2025, my goal for 2025 for the show is really to be more consistent and more intentional, like you just said too, about the show, and just kind of doing it on a more consistent basis. So I would say that grateful for a great 24, grateful to have an opportunity for 2025. And I'm just excited, it's the same thing. It's that nerves. Like I still get a little nervous because you're much more experienced than I am at this too. So I do get a little more nerves going, but again, it's more excited nerves that I'm just excited to really see where, if me and you put our heads together, where this show will go and what we can do with it.
I agree. And that's that excitement I'm talking about. Like, I just absolutely love sitting down here, talking with you, talking with our guests, sharing this with the world. So that's why I say more people commenting, liking, giving us shooting us a comment or a DM on Instagram or LinkedIn. I know you're more active on LinkedIn yourself. So that's what we're looking for. My goal in 2025 is to build a bigger and better community around the podcast, and the same thing for Social Chameleon. I know we just kind of scratched the surface today as far as like different wins, and we could go on and on. But yeah, 2024 was actually a great year for me. I'm glad to see it was a great year for you. And I feel like now 25 is just, let's build on that. And I can absolutely see us doing that. Really excited for you and what you got going on. So sending love to you and the family. Likewise. And happy new year. Cheers. Thanks, 2025. Here we are, baby.
Let's go.
Let's do it. Be great. Hey, I got the mug, man. I think this is probably the OG. I created these. I don't know if it was in the first year I did it, but basically this mug has been with me through the whole journey. So BGBG, you guys know what that means. Be great and be grateful. And I'm grateful for you, Dave. Thank you so much for being on today.
Thanks, guys.
Kickoff.